so much waste front line.
This is AllReasonNoLogic's road to OS 25. Join us as Tom battles to double his OS starting at 12. Hit subscribe and leave your comments and tips. To the battlefield commanders.
Okay, role positions. Tom, you've tried C on the Isthmus and lost. You also just lost one in Red River Remake, which we aren't casting, and now you're jumping into Eco.
Yes. Greg held me hostage this week and we were practicing the LRPC early, and I decided I wasn't going to do that, but seeing as I'd run the practice of doing the early T2 to prep for it, I figured I'd actually try it out in a game and see how it goes.
So that's all about just getting the best possible build order for the start. Jump down in the comments and tell us what your Eco start is in Isthmus. Here you can see Tom into the 2 mechs, 1 wind, final mechs, and then a bit of wind before going into T1.
And this is one of the things you have to look at doing. We identified in Tank Tom's last game that one of the weaknesses that popped up was that eco not scaling in the background. So one of the ways that you can deal with that is jump into an eco position and get that build order right, get that macro right, and then that when you jump back onto the front line, you'll hopefully be able to more quickly and more easily jump back into that eco mindset as you're working on the front, and you can get those build orders down, and you can get everything down without falling so far behind.
Well, I'm
Another interesting.
Sorry to jump in. I'm loving the new meta, which is giving out the eco from the sea, the little pond here. And what's that meant is this player here's gone straight to a lab without even going into any eco, and as a result, metal being fed back to the team.
That's a lot of metal coming back in. If you grab all of that, it's an extra 1,000 for the team right out of the gate. Not to mention, all of those ticks are actually running nicely by, and there really shouldn't be much, if any, defenses around the place, particularly if you try and target either the Geo position or the C position. You could really shut down the bottom right-hand C if you manage to get ticks back this far. So if you're on the front line, give that one a go. Because if you manage to take out those 3 mexes and the online and the on-ground wind, that player is not going to have anything to deal with an incredibly metal-heavy playstyle, which is boats. So do your best there to shut them down, and you're going to have a good time in the sea. This blue player is going to have a much easier time getting back into the ocean, because starting in long sea, you're always the second one into the water. But now you're going to be on a much more even. They're going to be on a much more even playing field, because pink has just essentially been shut down.
Yeah, really nice. So
One shot away from taking that last mix.
Unfortunate. It is a good start for your team. Eco well into a good position. You are looking quite healthy, getting up plenty of wind, got the build turret out, got plenty of res bots reclaiming all that energy around the map. That's really important. I like to personally go into 5 res bots out of the eco position. Oh wow.
You got so
my god, I'm just telling
right there.
How good you're doing. Oh my god.
If you had been 1 step shorter, maybe 2 steps shorter, that would have been enough to take out your build power.
Oh Tom, that is just noobish. People, quickly,
so
yeah, press the commander, space X, and see that flashing circle around the edge? That is the explosion radius if you detonate something. You can click anything, space X.
Sorry, I just want to jump into something real quick here. When you're doing this eco position, there's actually a very solid reason to eat your lab first and then your comm afterwards. The solid reason is that you can use your comm to help eat the lab, but also when you lose the comm, you lose a bunch of the metal storage, and in the process of reclaiming it, particularly if you use your build turrets to try and reclaim it, or if someone sends you metal or anything along those lines, you can lose that metal if you cap out. So definitely go for the eat the lab first and leave the comm. The other part is because eating the lab gives you all the metal in one big chunk. And whereas eating the comm, you can leave more on the comm if you need to, which will make it easier to res in the future. In this case, it wouldn't have made too much of a difference because the comm has been left on essentially 0, and the lab has come up. Oop, there we go. The construction turrets ate it, so you might want to make sure you detonate outside the range of
Yeah, I was
construction
about to add,
turrets as
that's
well.
the other thing, is
But
always
all of
detonate out here somewhere.
all of this being said, telling Tom, you've got your T2 up by 5. You've got your T2 up before the 5-minute mark. You're getting that. You're getting the constructor out. You're spending the metal as fast as you can on it, and that is not too bad. If you look at your direct opponent, they're in a very similar position to you, but fractionally metal ahead because they built that little bit of extra conversion and a few less. Actually, no, they've got more wind down the side. We'll have to look at how they did theirs. They might have gotten some
Tom
metal
actually
from
got
somebody
his up
else
quicker though, which I do like, getting yours out first. But
Yep.
I don't love
that's good.
that you are having to actually, I'd be stopping building these until you get the T2 constructor out.
T2.
Stop everything.
Yep.
All build power just on that.
They
But in
won't
comparison,
use much metal getting up those T1 converters.
they do use quite a lot of energy though, and that's one of the interesting things about it.
they're off.
1150.
Yeah, they're off. You
And
wanna
that
have
means
them
you're
on.
not converting at the same time.
What
And
I'd
if
like
you
to do
weren't
at this
building them, you probably would
stage here is, if you're going for this eco, definitely need a bit more wind. You're relying a lot on reclaim, which is working out fine for you. You do have the storage though, so you've got a bit of safety there. Get a T1 metal storage, reclaim this lab straight away, and build all 3 mixes. Obviously, you can only do that if you're not sharing out T2 constructors. So if you rely on the geo position here to build all the T2 for everyone, I like to reclaim that lab and get that fusion up extra quick.
One thing that I found is at this point where you don't have much metal coming in, building a metal storage isn't particularly easy. So I think I was planning on getting at least a couple of the mexes up so that I've got metal coming in, so then I can build the storage to eat the lab.
Yeah, you've got enough now to get it up.
So
even at this stage,
yep.
but look, you're going well. You're going well. Much better
Exactly.
than we've seen with eco in the past.
And this is the other thing to bear in mind on this position. Your amount of metal is going to be dependent on how the game has gone so far. That means your wind conditions, whether or not you've had to do anything else along those lines, if you had to deviate, if you're having to give out T2, all that sort of stuff. So you can argue about which one's going to be the most optimal. In my opinion, it is going the storage first and reclaiming the lab, because that gives you the metal for all 3, and you can get it up, and you get them up a little bit quicker. But you do also lose that. You do also lose the metal that you would have gained from that very first one. So it's an interesting call to make, and you have to get that balance out. But you know you're going to be reclaiming that T2 lab anyway to get the fusion. And the other half is, and this is the bit that really clinches it for me. When you reclaim that a little bit earlier, you can then build a couple of extra construction turrets that little bit sooner, which means that you'll get that fusion that little bit faster. But in this case, having that T2 lab is letting you get a fat boy. Does look like that has been cancelled and is going for hounds. I do believe this is because of
Our front line's going,
some tension on the front line.
I think it was Fertilum you've been playing with a bit lately. They had a bunch of whistlers that weren't microed, and the cream player actually took in a bunch of rocketeers and took them all out. So yeah, 2,500 metal now sitting on the front line.
Boost.
You want to get hold of that quick. That's the reaction that you've done, is send out T2 in the form of a hound, which can help with that area control.
And this is the sort of thing which you would normally want the Geo player to do. The Geo player getting those T2 units on the front line to tip the scales. It does look like that is happening. So the units that you're putting out not entirely necessary. But now that you've kept that T2 lab, you're now stuck providing some T2 constructors to players because they have paid you and asked for it, having seen that one.
One thing that's happening over here, great build out of the pink player. I always like to see at least one single unit sent out before focusing on upgrading all your eco, which this player is doing. I know that they want to come online in a strong way, but it doesn't cost too much to build one unit that can really help push back the tricky position that the front line is right now. Even just a bull microed well against T1 can take out a lot, especially when it's healed. Anyway, back to
So
it.
having a look at your direct opponent, which is your eco, this is the player that you have to beat, essentially. You need to do better than this player. They're going for an earlier anti-nuke than you are. And that's going to slow them down as much as getting those frontline units are, so that you're actually running really on pace with that other player, which is a really good thing. You've also given a T2 constructor to the air player and to the blue player, so you're running reasonably equally. And you're getting that reclaim off the lab now to bump into the fusion. Where you're going to be falling a little bit behind is going to be on the build power, because you're currently using your T1 constructors to build some more wind. It's definitely not a bad call to build the wind, but it's the construction turrets that are going to help get that fusion up, which is going to be your fastest path to the T2 and scaling side of the games. But you've identified that, you've popped it down, you're trying to balance what your wind income is going to be along with your build turrets, and trying to get that metal down into the buildings. That's a little bit of an overreaction, but it was cancelled, so you're not getting 16 down, which is 16 build turrets down, which was a good catch.
Pink player looks like they're going to come online quite quickly once this advanced geo is up. The equivalent for your team, they've already got Sheldons out in the front line, but their eco is not looking as well. Yes.
Have a quick look at the orange player. The orange player has a T2 constructor in the middle of their base. That has been there for a very long time. This is why it is really important when you give these out to give them an area mex command. Just set them up, area mex them. If the player wants them to do something else, so be it. But it means you don't end up in a situation where
the tricky thing is
wasted.
This was actually dropped out here by a transport, so sometimes they don't get area mex when it's been transported. Very
unfortunate, but anyway, still worth doing. Even if the transport prevented it from happening this time around, it's still worth doing.
Yeah, I find it
as a general
worth
practice,
giving them that area max, even if you don't get it exactly perfect. Let them sort it out once it's doing something for them.
It's a mistake that happens to me all the time when people hand me T2. I don't notice, and that's something I'm really bad at.
Yeah, I think the best of us do it. Frontline is looking good right now. Pink only just reacting to this with Morses last minute, and there is a real opportunity here for these shoulders to take out the agitator that's been built on the front line by the brown player, and it has been spotted by the looks of things. It's being targeted now. This commander's not healing it. It should be, along with this construction turret, to try and keep it up. If this goes down, we're now relying completely onto Mausers, and the blue team is looking quite powerful with the amount of units there. This is the time to push. Do they do it?
Something I just want to call out. Tank Tom, you rebuilt a T2 lab just to give one player a T2 constructor. That is a massive overreach. Yes, they paid you. There is another player with a T2 lab up. Just send them the metal and tell them to build the other player a T2 lab.
Yeah,
that's set you back quite a long time on this fusion, which is allowing the red player on the other team to catch up quite quickly.
They're about to have an APIS up.
Yes, you also went double. You're also doing the double fusion strat again. This is one of those ones where it's arguable which one is better, whether you go single fusion into APHIS or double fusion into APHIS. I definitely like the single fusion into APHIS. Also drag that slider down.
Yeah, you're I'm not got the right player selected. Drag that down and you should be converting most of it.
The rule of thumb essentially is that if you have less gap in that slider than you do have total ability to convert, you'll probably miss some conversion.
Yeah. And you just went to build this last one. You can see here so everyone gets confused with conversion. I used to as well, that we've actually got a short out on it. You don't need I say this as it just turns on. Wind is helping you a little bit. You don't need that ratio of 2-to-1 if you're building at the same time, because the build power is going to drain that energy. So I like what you're doing here, though, reclaiming a fusion.
Yeah, that's smart. That's very smart.
How much metal in the fusion? Okay, we're all good. We're all good. I thought we
Yeah.
might overflow just the one
No,
storage
I
there,
did
but yeah.
double check that before I started eating it.
Bro, mix unupgraded.
And this is where, okay, I'm actually going to call, I'm going to mention this one. You gave Blue a T2 constructor that walked down. Send a T1 with him, tap your mechs and put the T1 on it, and then give the area mechs and walk him down. That's but that's like, that's not, it's a problem, but it's not a big problem. It's just definitely worth mentioning.
Look, I'm liking your position. You, in my opinion, you're neck and neck with Red.
Yep.
You're going to have a fusion and an APHIS up before they have their two, or before they're even close. Well, what was
no, actually, this is okay. I was thinking you were going to spend a bunch of metal on the T1 labs, but it will finish the APHIS first. You're just going to make sure you get the conversion down too.
Yeah, that's going to come up in just 20 seconds. So you're actually going to be ahead of the red player here now once this is up. You have you almost said the F word. Won't do it on stream. There is no anti-nuke on your base, and it's 15 minutes. That's a huge no-no for the eco player. Huge no-no. I can personally launch a nuke by the 14 and a half minute if I go on
Isn't
Armada
that how you scammed your way to OS 30? I'm gonna go on Isthmus and I'm gonna nuke rush every game.
I did get probably a good 5 OS out of it.
There you go, people. If you want to do your OS challenge, just nuke rush. It seems to work pretty well, according to Twig.
I do exaggerate. It wasn't that many times. You can do it maybe like 1 out of 3 games it might work. But unless you scout,
you've got to make sure
you
you cycle through those lobbies.
Yeah, this guy here had an nuke down
if you do it 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
And if you are a veteran from my OS 25 journey, you'll remember the game where I hit, I think it was 9 nukes in a game, and I still lost. Like, how do you hit 9 nukes in a game and you still lose? And these weren't like little hits. These were things like killing the entire front line, killing the entire eco of multiple players. Like, this was huge positive nuking. But unfortunately, just absolutely no capitalization from the rest of the team. That was a devastating loss for me.
Come up, and I've gone into spam to assist the front line. They've got some units there, but they just need some assistance with that vision and having things running through to tank some of those shots for them.
Yeah.
Now,
this is looking pretty...
you've done quite a good job with how you've got the waypoints. Behind your front line, you have them splitting up before they move in. That's really important so they don't die sitting next to each other.
Got some shenanigans going in. He's looking very healthy for both teams. Usually if you can win both Cs, you usually win the game. Got a commander. Are they going to try and get into the base here? Blue has won their C.
The best time I've seen this happen was a cookie alarm game. Where the comm got up on land. Cookie Destroyer. I'm reading Bird Alarm at the same time. Cookie Destroyer got up onto the map, and he stole the fusion. Used the capture command and captured the advanced fusion, and then control D'd it in the middle of the base.
Yeah.
It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
It's quite powerful. You can actually do that with decoy commanders. We're waiting for someone to submit us a replay where decoy commanders are snuck into a base that gets Junoed, and then detonating that eco.
That'll be absolutely hilarious. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about with this front line, this is where the inexperience of this frontline player is really showing. There are Jags that can deal with spam, but the Sheldons are far enough back that all they're doing is shooting at spam. These units could be destroying the bulls, and they could be creeping further and further forward. That would allow for a total domination of this front position. You're only fighting some really minimal stuff. You have the vision. Definitely something where, and this is one of the hardest things about being an eco player. Tank Tom, you've done an incredibly good thing getting this spam out. It's slowing you down, but it should have given you a fantastic win condition on the front line. but the team just didn't capitalize on it. And because I've been sitting back and they're just taking chip, it's turned into it's actually turned back into the advantage of the other team. And because the spam is coming from the Geo player on the other team as compared to the Eco player, it's going to give their Eco player an opportunity to push ahead. You can actually see the unique design that the red player is going with, APHIS with one set of builds and converters with the other.
Really
not how I would do
that.
things, but certainly
Focusing on
an
that
option.
Eco, you are now going to units and going to T3. I like this. I am just guessing this, but I reckon I'm right. You've noticed that C has a clear path into the Eco. So is Marauders the tactics? The commander was trying to sneak up there. Looks like they've pulled out.
Damn resbots. It's so unfortunate.
Well,
that
there's a spy plane. This is what's detected it.
It wasn't the spy plane that spotted them. It was the resbots.
Yeah, you can very much see it's there.
I'm kind of happy looking at the stats for this one that I've managed to be ahead on the metal produced and energy produced compared to my opponent Eco player, despite providing some of that support to the front line. And you can definitely see where that's coming in now, where we've got those ticks from a couple of different players who've managed to break through that front line and getting in.
But again, almost no capitalization. You've got the spam in there, and there's no heavy hitters that are following it up.
Yeah.
And that's really heartbreaking to see when players have done the right things. Like in particular, you started it up and you got them and you converted the line from a sort of average position to a good position, and then Testosterone has seen the opportunity and gone massively into ticks, and right now he's sustaining his build right now very, very cleanly. He's matched how much he's producing to how much he needs to produce, and getting it right in there. Unfortunately, it's just not turning into anything it's just not converting because there are those heavy hitters behind it. So much opportunity, so much waste front line.
A nice snipe of the commander here. No AA for the blue team to take out these torpedo bombers. Ticks continuously getting in here. When is something going to come? Frontline, plenty of jacks, send them in. Plenty of sumos, send them in. Yeah. And orange is now coming online with a bunch of buccaneers. Are they going to put the pressure on green?
Well, green's definitely been pushed back a bit, but it doesn't look like they're in a losing position on that C just yet.
Here we go. Ticks are getting in. And red player is absolutely right. You need beamers. Beamers will take them out, but the welder's doing quite well. And
this is an area where if you're running a spam line, if you identify that your spam is getting this deep but then just dying to air, it's time to change the direction of the spam. You've cleared up down here. It's not going to do much more. Run it down the other side of the map. See if you can't take the pressure off of the C by crippling the orange player. There is so little defense on this side on this side of the rock. It is eight Sheldons and two thugs and an LLT defending the left side of the rock. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Looks like red's going to be sending their own spam back at you guys now. And here they come with pawns.
And this spam will actually be very effective against what you're doing. It's a mix of pawns and of the ticks. So you're going to have that light chaff as well as just a little bit more punch. But thankfully, the team has gone through and has added another player actually to the ranks. You've cleared the front line completely. You own the rocks. And they're going to have a tough time now. There's some fantastic D-guns about to come out of that T600.
I'm missing this. We don't want to miss Tom's little... we'll watch this D-gun. I'm going to jump down
out of the ocean.
Yeah, jump down to Tom's Marauders. And then I'm going to jump onto an eco mistake that I think you're currently making. In my opinion, anyway. Pink has the right idea with these pitbulls. And snipers and welders are shutting this down really well. Yeah, that was good.
This one didn't get very far at all, which is why the next ones aren't coming up in the same spot.
Good idea.
Entirely avoiding where all the last ones died and going elsewhere.
Nice.
One of the things that those ones are also doing, they've really helped to clear out all those LLTs that were put down, which is making a lot more of the spam survive. Unfortunately, again with the bad micro on the front, all of this red was seen coming, and yet they're still pushing the Sheldons into the spam.
Red really is doing everything.
It's
They're
hard
even
to
going
see.
air to shut these down. I think you might get these fusions. I hope you get these fusions.
I think I did.
I don't know. That's some wacky micro right there.
Put them on each side and they'll go down twice as quick. There you go, you did get them.
Not just in that sort of situation, one of the best things to do is to target fire one of them. You got about 50% on both, but you did manage to get them, so it doesn't matter. And the spam is now in on the other side as well. This time it is sprinters instead of T1, so they're going to do a lot right here. They're going to take out the build power of yellow, which is going to really help shut down that defense.
Yeah, nice. Good damage done there. You're sending that. I like that you're moving that Marauder on. You've seen that the sprinters are there. They're going to clean it up. Just go and see what you can do here. Unfortunately, the ticks are probably going to be enough to shut down the one Marauder.
So, just a little funny thing to see on this right-hand side in the ocean. You know how the blue com died over here because of air? There is still no anti-air like 6 minutes later.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's killing the entire fleet.
Yeah, one flak.
Oh my god.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly jump in because this is looking pretty good for your team. You've gone into a few Marauders again. You're just repeating the same thing. You haven't actually continued your eco at all ever since transitioning into the T3. What I would be doing if I was you is I'd be building a couple extra storages, even one advanced metal storage. Reclaim the lab. It essentially pays for an APHIS. Reclaim the T3 lab, build the APHIS, build your 4 converters, and then build the lab again. And if you want to keep building T3, keep repeating that process, because what's happened over here is red has been able to really get ahead on your eco. Luckily, your team is very strong at the moment.
One thing to also really bear in mind, you have those T1 labs pumping spam out, which means that you can pull a Cookie Destroyer move right here and just add in a Lazarus to that build queue every two units that comes out at a Lazarus in, and have those Lazarus just reclaim the front line. There is so much, when your team is winning even a little bit, there is so much metal here, and it's only now that we have a player starting to reclaim it. This has been sitting here for 10 minutes plus. Some of this has been sitting here for 10 minutes plus.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity where you as an eco player can absolutely explode, because you can pull 3 or 4 APHIS worth of metal off of the front line. And you can, and particularly if you eat the lab, go into APHIS, get more build power, use the reclaim to get more APHIS, you could easily be matching the red player right now.
I think I made a mistake here. Rather than trying to punch up the very edge of the defenses and into the eco, I've swung back through the middle where there's now a bunch of units and things defending.
I don't know. Twin guards actually do quite a bit of damage to Marauders, and you don't have heaps.
There's 20 odd there.
Yeah, look, it would probably get through, but I'm reckon this a red player, all they need to do is turn on their spam and it'll be enough to shut that down. So I don't think you made a bad move. I just think that there's no real good lanes for Marauders to get through, especially because the air player for your team just isn't defending against this air that just keeps on coming. Ugh.
And another thing to bear in mind is, with that many Marauders, even though there's a bunch of an absolute bunch of twin guards defending the red and the pink player, you don't have to punch through the whole line. You only have to punch through a small area, and it only takes a handful of them getting through to do ludicrous eco damage, because they have advanced energy converters.
I'm loving this. Titan with no commanders anywhere nearby. This should be able to get through to this eco player and maybe pop that fusion that's keeping pink alive.
But right now, your team is definitely on the winning track. Your eco is ahead by nearly 100%, though a chunk of that is from the reclaim on the front line. Particularly things like these bulls just give so much metal. It's great. But their backline has definitely done better than you have as far as the eco side of things. So if this game goes on, they do have some potential to stay in it. But it's a very That's a very wishful way of looking at it,
Mm.
especially as
Rauders,
they have to actually defeat all the units in their base, which I just don't see happening at this
Rauders
point.
actually
now the
not
front
doing
line.
great at punching through this because they were shooting into the edge of that shield. Just remember, Rauders shoot with plasma, so you got to get them inside the bubbles to do the damage. But that Titan definitely enough there. Looks like you're going around. I like this. You're sending them through a good spot, in my opinion.
This is a really good spot to send it in, and if you aren't going to be swapping in and out the of that T3 lab, and you do continue the pressure, this is something just to note for anyone playing. It's definitely not. If you have scouting information, attacking the same position over and over again can work because you've weakened it. You can punch through. You can prevent them from getting the medal. That's all good stuff. But they also, the counter to that is that if you don't have scouting information, they may have massively defended it, like was this case. Sometimes it is just worth punching in a different direction. There's going to be almost no defenses on this left-hand side, but it does look like that has been the GG out of the red team, and all of that little bit of scale tipping that was done on this one, very well done, pushing through. You did a bit of a hybrid role in this eco. You eco to tip the scales, and the big takeaway is that I'd like to see you reclaiming that lab and then boosting that eco when you have the opportunity. But I think that you did very well in this one, and I think that I also think that if the front line had capital opportunity created for them a little bit earlier, then I don't think Red would have been able to scale quite as hard as they did, because there were definitely the units, the spam was there to really push about 5 minutes earlier than actually happened. So I reckon this was a very well played one out of you, and you've learned macro-wise by practicing, and by playing these roles you'll just get better and better and better at it.
Okay, quick look at those graphs. You can see there, metal produced. You were ahead of the red player up until you just decided to go purely into units. So nicely done there. That's a good win on the eco side of things for you. Damage dealt, you can see the jumps that you've made there each time of those marauders push, doing your role. Really well play out of you. That's put you up onto 19.22 for your OS. So after those few losses, climbing back up there almost over the 20 mark again. And people, jump into those comments if you like to see any different builds out of eco or different tactics. Obviously you heard all of mine and Praetus' opinions through this cast. Tom's been able to recap on things that he would and wouldn't do, and that's what this series is about, getting that OS a little bit higher through using different tactics. Let us know what you guys think.
All right, thanks everyone for joining us. Hope you enjoyed that one. Like, subscribe, comment, jump on the Discord, all that good stuff, and we will catch you in the next one.
See ya.